In this video I want to take a look at the Four Corners area. It's known as the Four Corners in the States here. This is where Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona all meet. And basically what we're going to do, you can see the parks here. Let's draw a circle right around here. And I'm going to show you a lot of the landscape and a lot of the ruins. I'm going to present for you an alternative narrative to how all of this came about. So thanks for joining me. I have a lot of visuals for us to go through, but there's going to be some stopping along the way. And I can't really say where everything is. It's just going to be too much to look at. But we are given a timeline and a narrative as to the creation of a lot of what we see as as man-made ruins. And in this area we have the Navajo and the Utes and Anasazi, which predates the Navajo, and the Hopi. And we have all these legends attached to the beginning of their history. And as we know, history has been erased realm-wide. It doesn't matter which race, creed, religion, or anything like that. The erasing has gone on for everyone. I think that's important to keep in mind. So when we try to stretch back and paint a picture of our history, I think it's really important to keep in mind that we are looking at a very blurred picture, and you have to leave room for leave space for other ideas. When we look at something like this, we've got a wall here somewhere up in the middle of the cliff. So many of these don't make sense, and I'm going to do my best to point them out, and I will work them into the reset narrative, the X Factor event, the resetting of the realm. What it's starting to look like more and more to me is that we are living in the remains of some sort of catastrophic reset event. Timeline, not sure. Some people speculate 500 years ago. Some people have speculated less. Some people say a bit more. I think the point of that is we know we can't trust the professional disciplines really anymore. The problem being is that all of those filters have come down through the indoctrination system. And when you have thoroughly wrapped your head around the fact that this indoctrination system has been put in place to keep us from realizing our true potential, I think it becomes pleasurable almost to unravel the lies, basically, that we've been fed over time. And so the narrative of this region, which is riddled with ruins, by the way, as I'm showing you here, is that these were all built by the people that lived in the area over the last several thousand years, and they date a lot of these back to 700 to 1,000 years ago, which is basically far back enough in time where nobody can really question it, basically taking the word of the experts. So you have archaeology, and you have geology, and you have a narrative that sort of interweaves all of this together. And we're just finding so many holes. There's a hole right there. So many holes in that narrative. We're seeking alternative ideas, and we're using evidence placed before us. I say this a lot as well to people who question me about what I do. We are living in a time where the amount of visual evidence has exploded exponentially onto the scene, and with that becomes more of us sharing our stories, speculating, finding evidence that's never been seen. For instance, a drone video of an area that's never really been seen up close, except for maybe one or two photographs in a National Geographic magazine. So for so long we were in the grasp and in the palms of these institutions, and those institutions are losing their grip, and hence the panic in our society. This is looking like some piece of fried chicken. So I'm proposing what we're looking at is some sort of frying of the grid of the realm. If you can picture everything like a terraformed realm, where everything existed in harmony and for a reason, having to do with energy and how energy moves, everything being a part of that circuit. As something occurred where there was an attack or something, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate any further than that. I really have no idea. But something happened, and this circuit was fried. And if you've ever seen a circuit board fried, this is a little clip from the Tartarian Meltdown channel, where he answers the 7 frequently asked questions about this X Factor event. Which I'll restate that we're moving toward it. Nothing is in stone here. We're trying to get a little closer to the truth. But you see what's happening here as a circuit board fries. So what I propose here, and some places get hit harder than others, and it's kind of confusing because of that. But I decided to zone in on this region because I think it's giving us a multitude of examples and samples of this event and what went on, how some were left visibly man-made, and most of it was charred and turned into what we call the Four Corners area and all the surrounding parks and archways and the Grand Canyon. And when you begin to really take these in, you start to recognize the melting and flowing going on. You can see it in here too. You still see the horizontal lines. And I do realize it's a vast departure for a lot of people, so some people it's difficult to take this in. You might need a breath, even. You might need to stop and take a breath, maybe go take some nature and do some grounding. Because it's not easy to drastically overhaul your perception of reality, especially in a hurry. So just take baby steps if you need to, and go at your own pace. But definitely keep moving toward truth and seeking truth. You'll find the doors open up. Doors you didn't expect. Here's the Grand Canyon. It's the tower. I want you to notice here too. You see this little band. What's been referred to as rock ballooning. Over here. So there are legends of the native people of the area that they came out from underground after a cataclysm and were guided by the ant people in some regions. So very curious origin. I mean, these are the things that we sort of pass off as silly myths, which is another way of thinking that's been put on us, is to disregard myth and legend. Disregard it as, if it especially doesn't fit into the current paradigm, you just put it into the realm of fiction. But I wonder, what are we seeing with these myths of the people that live in this area? Okay, we have a 90-degree corner. I wonder, I think it's a memory of this event, this cataclysmic event, and the ones that survived did so by going underground. And was there guidance from extraterrestrial? And I mean that in extra terrain, extra earth, below the earth. I don't know. Alien is such a the whole region too is riddled with the alien narrative, but that's her NASA Hollywood version of reality. So thrown that one out the window in the process of restructuring it. Why would you ever build here like this? And this is interesting too, looking like a fried wall. You can kind of see the brickwork in there, fried down to circular nubs. This one is a real standout for me. I have a few other, but of the same place, a little closer up. But even here, you can tell. The question is, was this building built on this square-shaped rock, or was this all one? And was there a changing of matter that for some reason stopped right here, like a frying of a circuit board? And that's a direction I'm leaning toward. And of course, this evidence all over the region. No shortage of it. And so I speculate that some areas were hit harder by this cataclysm, and I think there was a very large one responsible for these types of things here, where the actual changing in the state of matter occurs. You notice the color is all consistent, so I think we're looking at the same material in different states. See it here too, turning into the brick basically. This was, I think it was all red brick, perfectly formed, rectangular brick, and I think that this devastation, this heat, is actually transforming the state. You can see here, there's one that's changed color, it's darkened, but it hasn't yet turned into this material here. It's either that or somebody came along somewhere down the line and put an actual brick in there that was scorched. So you can believe that if you want. But this should really paint the picture for you here. Undeniable, I would say. Undeniable. And you also have this charring looking like looking caramelized. I heard that from a chat on the Tartarian Meltdown channel as well, the term caramelized. I like it for this look here. And then start to see formations like this, and you can see the wall, remnants of the wall. You can see some sort of tower. You can almost see the bricks in that tower there. And it all starts to look and feel different. And all of a sudden, the mysteries of the universe are right back at your doorstep. When you thought you lived on a ball in a world where all the answers had been provided, now we're starting to find out. Oh, wait a second. Maybe those are lies, and maybe there's more to the story, and maybe we were once much, much more than we've been told we are. It reminds me of the nuns in the schools, in the old Catholic schools, who their job was basically to make sure you don't daydream, and make sure you don't fidget, make sure you take in the narrative, take in the story. Don't ask questions, and you'll do fine in the new world narrative. But if you fall off that track, there's ways of dealing with you, and that links right in with the old asylum narrative, which even continues up to the modern day. We get to a point here where you look at this stuff, and a lot of people will say, "Well, my family thinks I'm crazy for thinking this way." My answer is, of course they do. Of course they do. That's how we've all been trained to think. But what's crazy? What really is crazy? Well, you're living in it. And if you don't understand that we are in a time where the scales are going to flip, and it won't be that long, I would say, you better get with the program. Otherwise you're going to be left in the dust, just like this. Of course, I could be wrong. That could be me just going off on a tangent, but I'm allowed to, aren't I? So no shortage of any of what we're seeing here. Where I was getting to with my point too is that some areas of the realm, I think, are turned into this, and there's some areas that were well preserved from this time frame. And I think a lot of the buildings that we are being told were constructed just shot up in the 1800s, even up into the 1900s, early 1900s, pre-World War II. I think World War II was a major memory wipe for our reality. And then right after World War II, we were looking at the implementation of television, the skyrocketing popularity of Hollywood, NASA, the dream to go to the moon. All these things were like the solidification, the imprisonment of our consciousness, and the solidification of the New World narrative. So we really need to give our heads a shake, folks, and recognize when we're looking at the evidence I'm providing for you right now. Look, we have a wall coming out of the cliff. We need to recognize that we've been lied to. And it's a painful pill to swallow, for sure. Especially if you got yourself a PhD, you spent all this time and money, and you believed, you jumped in head first with the promise that this life would bring you all of the pleasures that they promise. But there's no pleasure in lies, and we are living through that now, like I said. All lies bring us pain. If you begin to seek the truth, the pain will subside, and that thirst for knowledge will drive you. The search for truth will drive you, and it'll bring you to. It'll lead you to people who will open doors for you. That's what we do for each other. It's a common courtesy, isn't it? We open doors for each other, especially when our hands are full. That's community. We are one big community. Look at this one. What is that? That's like a brick that basically jumped in size. It's jutting out of this wall. This wall that goes right into the cliffside. You can see them here. You can see the rock wall here. Makes no sense according to our given narrative. And they tell you, don't go beyond this point. What's beyond this point, right? Well, this is the kind of stuff that goes beyond this point. Certainly is something. Look at this. Hard to tell the difference between cliff and rock wall. So many arches. So many arches. Seen a lot of these in the Kentucky area as well. But so many of the old buildings that I bring to you in my videos, it's my suggestion, and I could be wrong, that they were all left intact after this event, and then these regions, for some reason these areas, were hit hard. Look here, you cannot tell the difference between the wall and I do think we had a series of subsequent reset type events. We also had a digging out from under the mud. I think that all happened right around the same time. Maybe it's wrapped in the Columbus narrative and the time frame we're given for North America. I don't know. That's difficult to pinpoint any of that, so no one's going to come out and tell you exactly when, with any certainty, when all this occurred. There are stories of Egyptian type artifacts being found in the Grand Canyon, and then of course the Smithsonian Institute came in and sealed up that story, and nothing was ever heard from it again, and there's areas apparently that you can't go, and I think there's lots of areas you can't go with what we deem military facilities or whatever the reason may be. And I think a lot of that is either they have systematically been destroying evidence of this event, and they have also, they're just hiding it from us, and we're not able to access it. Some of it is still there, and would be able for us to should be able for us, should be there for us to be, how do I say this? To see, to explore. We should be able to explore all of this realm. That's just another take. I think we can handle it. Alright, let's finish with this one. I mentioned this one earlier. I have a lot more photos of the region, but I think you get the picture. Yeah, where does the rock walls start and the rock begin? This looking like it was seconds away from this entire tower, we can call it, turning to stone. So, what do you think? Do you think I'm way off? Do you think in this instance we should be trusting our intellectual authority figures? We should all fall back in line and believe what we're told. What do you think? Thanks for watching.